in the year 2000, the current president, Mahmoud Abbas, he was offered an additional 10% of the land for peace. Of course, you guessed it, he declined. In 2005, the Jewish people gave Gaza away, hoping peace would result in this gesture. Instead, the land has been used to attack the Jews by sending thousands of rockets into the communities that are only a few miles away. Can you imagine sending your kids to school in the morning or kissing someone you love before he or she goes to the office, only to hear air sirens blaring in the streets or in your office building where you're working? Fear that would grip your heart, knowing you may never see your children or your loved one ever again. Dividing your God-given land by appeasing those that hate you, as well as they desire to totally annihilate you, hasn't been nor will ever be the best solution.
This video is brought to you by Save the Storks. Save the Storks, ladies and gentlemen, is a pop-up Save the Storks event right here in Scottsdale, Arizona at my headquarters. We're doing a joint event, so it's a meet and greet with me, and also you'll be able to see the state-of-the-art medical mobile clinic that Save the Storks has, and you will not be disappointed. I'm going to give you just some quick facts, and then we're going to get to the video. But the medical mobile clinic offers free pregnancy tests, STI tests, and ultrasounds for young women. 4 out of 5 young women that get onto the medical mobile clinic or go into the medical mobile clinic. It's pretty much an RV that they've outfitted like a medical clinic. And 4 out of 5 young women that go on, they leave making the decision to keep their child. There's 97 buses in 34 states, and it's bridging the gap between women and the medical clinic. One thing I love about the medical mobile unit is that they pull them right up in front of, Planned Parenthood and these other places and give women the option to get on, to get good information, to be heard, not be coerced. I mean, all of the things that we would hope for our daughters, our mothers, or anybody that have been found, in a situation where they're experiencing an unplanned pregnancy. So I want you guys to go to Eventbrite. The link is in the description section. It's on Saturday, November the 4th from 11 to 1 p.m. Tickets are only $2 on Eventbrite. The only reason we have them at $2 is because people want to play fraud and they want to buy 1,000 tickets to throw off our event, but you're going to pay $2,000 to do that. So make sure you go. The link is in the description section. We're going to have a really good time right here at the Officer Tatum headquarters in Scottsdale, Arizona. Save the Storks and the Officer Tatum. We're doing an event. Make sure you show up, like and subscribe to the channel. Y'all already know what to do. Let's get into this. The drama continues in Israel, where you have Hamas claiming or making a statement to deploy violence all around the world for other idiots that believe in that crap that Hamas is preaching. I'm telling you this right now, and I know people are very sympathetic to Palestinians and Hamas, whatever they're doing over there. They're trying to separate the two. It's all the same to me. It's unfortunate that innocent people will be killed. It's unfortunate that children, women and children may be killed in this. But I said this yesterday, and I'm going to say it again. Whatever happens in Gaza, whatever happens to Palestinians is the fault of Hamas. It's not the fault of Israel. I don't want to hear nobody say anything to me about the fact that you expect Israel not to retaliate. This is what they do. They strike and hide their hand. They strike and then they hide behind innocent people. They kill your innocent people to hide behind their innocent people. How long is this going to go on? And I said this from the very beginning, that if you go and kill women and children, your fate has already been sealed for you and everybody else that's associated with you. That's just how the game go. I don't know why we think we're fighting a moral war. This is not a war of morals. This is a religious war that can never be quenched unless somebody's completely eliminated in perpetuity. And I see them getting on television and saying, we want more attacks. We want people around the country that are sympathetic to the Palestinians to attack in America and attack in Europe. This is what they believe. This is what I want to say. People act as if every Palestinian person have nothing to do with Hamas. As if Hamas is just running their own ship and all the Palestinian people are sitting there like, oh, we don't even know why Hamas is doing this. We never elected them. We have nothing to do with it. We don't even have the same values. So it's poor us that Hamas is acting this way. It's not true. I would argue that most Palestinians agree with Hamas, at least in that region. And therefore, if you can say, act on behalf of Hamas around the world, and if you actually see people start committing terrorist attacks, then you should realize that it's more people that are sympathetic to Hamas. There's more of a correlation between Palestinians and Hamas than they're trying to say. Listen, I'm just being straightforward and honest. There's a certain type of religious belief that breeds this type of evil. You really don't see religious people acting this way in any other region other than Muslims in the Middle East. And Muslims in America, I would say that they're more watered down. They're watered down in America. They're not gonna go full throttle because they can't in America. If they could, maybe some of them would. But by and large, you're not gonna stone people to death in America. You're not gonna behead people. You're not gonna do genital mutilation on women. You're not gonna be doing none of that stuff. You can't force a woman to wear headscarves and stuff. You can't make people do that stuff. In some of these Muslim majority countries, they can do it to you. They take you and whoop you on the legs if your dress is not long enough. If you gay, they throw you off a building. And these are pretty prominent Muslim majority countries. This is not an isolated group of people. Now, there's some extreme elements to it, but some of these major Muslim countries, they have strict laws around dress, around marriage, around genital mutilation. What are we even talking about? And don't act like this is not in the Quran. I don't understand why we even having this argument. That's the reason why it's so much violence in that region. And there are some good, UAE, Dubai, and there's Muslim countries that understand that barbaric violence isn't sustainable. But then there's a lot that believe in that. And a part of our culture is that we're so sympathetic to people because we see videos of little kids getting hurt, but we don't understand that a lot of these people believe in this. They're just living in a peaceful area, but they believe what the people across the way believe. I was talking to a guy that was Muslim. I was training him on a police department. He pretty much told me straight up, like, yeah, everything you see them doing is what we're taught to do in the Quran. However, we just believe that we're not at wartime with Christians in America. It's not that what they're doing is wrong. It's just that they are perceiving war. We are not. It's not that they're different. Now, I was in a car with a Muslim gentleman, and he said that in the Quran, there's no place to kill innocent people, women and children. But in the Quran, there is a place to kill the infidel and also to defend yourself. So if the Muslims are posturing in a defensive, then they're totally justified in the Quran to do everything that they're doing. Because according to the Palestinians, according to the rhetoric of the Hamas, they're getting back the land that was stolen from them. To me, that's no different than Native Americans saying we're going to start attacking Americans because you call this a preserve, and this was actually native land. And they want to come fight us and kill our people to get their land back. This is no different. I don't know why people have such a unique, unique feeling against the Palestinian people and not the same against Native people. Maybe because it's more current. It's the same thing. This happens all around the world. This happens all the time. People don't just get power because God just somehow opened up the skies and put you here and here and here. People start killing people to get to here, here, and here. They start conquering people, taking over their people, raping, pillaging people to get themselves to a point where they occupy certain areas. And I don't know if people forget their history. If you go back way back in the day, the Jews lived in this area. What we know today as Israel was the Jewish land. King David, Abraham, all of them, right there, many in Jerusalem. Mount Moriah, all of these things. When Jesus was there, where was he? He was in Jerusalem, talking about Gehenna and all these places that you can physically see today. That was Jesus's day. And then the Romans came and took over the Jews. And then the Crusades, if I got my lineage right, and then the Muslims. Underneath all of that was Jews. So if you want to say whose land it was first, Islam wasn't even a thing
when Jews occupied what we know now as Jerusalem. Muslim wasn't even a thing. Muhammad wasn't even born. And there's evidence nowhere in the Bible that Muhammad was ever prophesied about. So this concept of Muhammad and Islam didn't even exist at this period of time when Muslims occupied in Israel. And then this group conquered this group, and then that group conquered this group, and then that group conquered this group. And it's just a cycle. This is what happens. It's not unique to Palestinians. They're not just getting done wrong so much different than anybody else that had got done wrong. I'm sure the Jews didn't like the fact that the Romans were coming in and killing them and taking their land. You know, there was many places that I went in when I was in Israel, and I forget the name of that mountaintop. I can Google it, but there was a particular mountaintop where they called them the zealots, you know, that went and escaped and lived up by themselves on this mountaintop for like 5 years. And the Romans came to kill them. And they built ramps to go up. I mean, it was Masada, Mount Masada, they call it. We had to use a lift to get up there. And the Romans built a ramp that is absolutely unbelievable. I think this has to be like 1,500 feet high. They built this ramp over a period of time to get onto the ramp, and then they climbed up the ramp, but the Jewish people had already committed suicide, except for one individual. I forget his name. I forget his name. He you know, some believe he was a traitor. He went on with the Romans, and then he ended up writing his own scripture, and then that caused conflict with Jesus and that whole thing. But what was his name? God dang it, I can't remember his name. He wrote a whole book. Dang it, I can't remember his name. But everybody committed suicide. He was the only one that didn't commit suicide, and he went to live amongst the Romans. But anyway, they came and killed all the Jews and took over the land. So, I mean, they had it bad too. And then the Crusades, and then the Muslims came, and all of these things have happened in that region. So no one group is somehow more innocent than the others. But once you take over a land, it becomes your land unless somebody can take it from you. And that's exactly what the Jews are, you know, doing in this particular situation. You either want to be a part of Israel, the Israelis, or you don't. And if you don't, then you isolate it in your own little area. And if you ever try to get bad and take over, you're probably going to lose. That's no different than any other established country, established state in the entire world.